Now we've talked about var as the main way to create a variable, to create that bucket we want to put something to it. And the beauty of var is that it allows us to actually create a variable, the bucket, and we can add things to it whenever we want. As you saw earlier, var name, we explicitly told the compiler that this name, the variable name, is its type string. That means I can come down here and say James. As you see, I can run this. In fact, it's already running. There's James there. And I can come down here. If I change my mind, I'm going to say name is going to be equal to Gina, like that. And I can go ahead and run again. And you're going to see at the top is James, and at the bottom is now Gina. So var is very flexible. So whenever you want to change something, which is the idea of a variable, is that you want to change as time goes by. However, there are times, no pun intended here, that you don't want this variable to allow any changes. That's when we use a constant variable. A constant variable is a variable, as the name implies, that doesn't change. The moment you create it and you add a value to it, you can never change it again. So why is it so important? Well, there are times that you want that to happen. For instance, if I have a program that calculates the area or perimeter of a circumference, right? If I say var, say pi, is equal to 3.14, like that, and then this is fine. I can do my calculations at the bottom here. All is good. But what happens if somebody comes in somewhere and I decide to say pi is now equal to 2.34? This is very possible to do because pi, we said it's just a simple variable, which is not good because this can create a lot of issues. Can you imagine calculating the perimeter or the area of a circumference using this number here? That's not going to be good, right? So you can see there are times that we want that to happen, to where we want to be able to change a variable, but there are times we don't want it to change. In point in case, here we go. So how do we make a variable a constant? We can't say const like that, right? We have to say let. The moment you say let, that means pi cannot be changed anymore. You can come up here and change it, but I cannot change it from anywhere else. If I try to say pi, look at this, is equal to 9.9, I'm going to have an issue. Look at that. Took a second. Cannot assign to value pi is a let constant. Okay? So whenever we are in a position where we know that these variables, we don't want them to be changed from anywhere else, we use the let keyword. Okay, so in this case here, let me go put a comment here, 2 forward slashes. I'm going to say let to make a constant variable, we use let keyword, like that. Very good. We'll see that happening more often. So far, we looked at string and we look at integer, which are the basics of variable types. Now, the other type that I'm going to be showing you here is a Boolean type. What is a Boolean? A Boolean is just a variable that can only have either a false state or a true state. So a 0 state or a 1 state. Now, this is actually great because it turns out that anything in computing really relies on this Boolean paradigm, right? Things are on or off, or things are 0 or 1, things are false or true, and so forth. All right. So how do we create a variable Boolean? Very simply, I can either say var is life great, like that, and make it true, right? This is, of course, the implicit declaration. Or I could have said var is my life. I'm just trying to change the variable names here so we don't have conflict. Is my life great? I'm going to put colon. I can put space there and say bool. Look at boolean like that. That's the keyword. And voila, I can go ahead and set it to false or true. Okay. There we go. So a Boolean is used whenever you want to store either false or true. Now this will make more sense once we learn about if statements, which are conditional statements, right? If this is true, then run this piece of code. If it's not true, else, then run that. We'll get back to that. Now we can, if we want, in this case, if we want to run this there, we can run, you can see, says true and true, because we set these two actually to be true. Okay. Now notice I cannot try to add something else, let's say put into parentheses. The moment you do that, we're going to have a problem because this is indeed what? It's a string. Cannot convert value of type string to specified type Boolean. So types are very important in Swift, as you can see here, because it helps creating better programs that can be checked quickly whether the types are exactly what we intended them to be. Okay, so it's very beneficial. All right, put that back there. Okay, so at this point here, you've learned about string types, integers, and now you've also learned about Booleans, which can only hold one state. So it's either true or false. All right, you've also learned about another keyword called let, which allows us to create constants, which are variables that cannot be changed at a later time.